The stage lights were far brighter than anything 17-year-old Alina had imagined. From backstage, they looked soft and dreamy, like distant stars. But standing in front of them, they felt like fire, unforgiving, exposing, revealing everything she had spent years hiding. The vast studio of The Voice hummed with life around her. Audience members whispered softly, coaches sat with their backs turned, and cameras hovered like quiet observers waiting to catch every tremble of her fingers. Yet Alina heard none of it. All she heard was her mother's voice echoing from the past. When you sing, the world becomes gentle, Alina. Don't ever stop singing, no matter what happens. Her mother said that the night before the accident. Alina swallowed hard as the memory tightened her chest. It had been 3 years since she had last sung in front of anyone. 3 years since she stood beside a hospital bed, holding her mother's cold hand, wishing she could sing one last lullaby. She never did. Her throat had closed up, strangling every song inside her. Now, stepping onto this massive stage felt like stepping into fire, terrifying, burning, yet strangely purifying. This wasn't just an audition. This was the moment she had avoided, feared, and needed more than anything. The host whispered from backstage, "You've got this, Alina. It's your moment." Her moment. A moment she wasn't sure she deserved. The music director gave her a small nod. The soft piano intro began. Alina took a deep breath, and nothing came out. Her voice stuck. Her lips trembled. Her hands shook. The audience shifted uncomfortably. The judges remained still, backs turned, unaware of the storm brewing behind them. Her vision blurred. Not from the lights, but from tears. She couldn't do this. She shouldn't have come here. "Mom, please, help me," she whispered under her breath. Then, like a whisper carried on the wind, she remembered a moment from her childhood. Her mother brushing her hair, humming softly. The melody of the song she used to sing every night. The one that always made the world feel safe. It drifted into her mind. Warm, familiar, home. Her lips parted. A sound escaped. Soft, fragile, but real. A note filled with memories, pain, and a longing she had buried for too long. And suddenly, she wasn't on a stage anymore. She was 9 years old again, sitting on her mother's lap, singing to her as she stroked her hair. She was 12, performing in the school choir while her mother cheered louder than anyone. She was 14, writing songs by the window as her mother brought her hot tea. But she was also 17, standing in a hospital room, her mother barely breathing, whispering, "Sing for me, sweetheart, don't let the music leave you." Her voice cracked. The audience leaned forward. Then she hit a note. High, clear, breaking and healing at the same time. Something shifted in the room. Coach Daniel, known for his emotional sensitivity, placed a hand over his chest. Though he still faced away, something in her voice made him feel a pressure behind his eyes. Coach Reina, who rarely showed emotion, blinked rapidly, her fingers trembling near her button. Alina sang like she was pouring her soul into the air, because she was. Each line was a confession. Each word was forgiveness. Each note was a goodbye she never said. When she reached the chorus, she felt warmth on her cheek, tears, not of pain, but release. The crowd was silent, breathless. And just when her voice soared into the most emotionally, Coach Daniel slammed his button. His chair spun around violently. He wasn't just emotional. He was crying. Not a small tear, full, open, vulnerable crying. He covered his mouth, stunned, overwhelmed. Coach Reina hit her button too. Her eyes filled with tears as she whispered, "Oh my God." The other two coaches hesitated. Not because they didn't want her, but because they were stunned speechless. All 4 chairs turned. All 4 coaches stood. The audience erupted in applause, some wiping their own tears. But Alina barely heard it. As she finished the last note, she looked upward. Not at the lights, not at the ceiling. At the place where she hoped her mother could see her. "Mom, I did it." The lights blurred again, but this time the tears felt gentle. Her heart felt lighter, her chest open, her voice finally free. The coaches walked toward her, their steps slow, reverent, like they were approaching something fragile and sacred. "What's your name?" Daniel asked softly. "Alina," she whispered. Reina placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. "Alina, you didn't just sing, you healed this entire room." The audience cheered. Alina smiled. A real smile. The first in years. She didn't know what would happen next. She didn't know how far she'd go in this competition. She had found her voice again. And this time, she wasn't going to lose it. A week later, the rehearsal studio was quiet and serene. There were no bright lights, no roaring audience, no judges waiting with anticipation. Just a piano, a microphone, and Alina, sitting alone on a stool, staring at the lyrics in her notebook. Lyrics she had never finished. Lyrics that belonged to a song her mother helped her start before the accident. The promise I broke. She touched the words with her fingertips. Her chest tightened. Finishing this song meant facing everything she had avoided. The silence after her mother's last breath. The guilt of not singing when her mother asked. The fear of losing herself completely. A soft knock at the door pulled her back. Coach Daniel stepped inside, carrying 2 mugs of cocoa. I made it extra sweet, he said with a sheepish smile. Figured you could use it. She laughed softly. Thank you. He sat beside her, noticing the notebook. That the song you mentioned yesterday? She nodded. He didn't ask to read it. He just waited, patient, gentle. I started writing it with my mom, she said quietly. She always wanted me to finish it. But I couldn't. Daniel leaned forward. Alina, finishing this song doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be yours. She took a shaky breath. I'm afraid I'll break again. You won't, he whispered. And if you do, we'll break with you and put you back together. Her eyes filled. She flipped the notebook open. The first verse was simple, innocent. A child's memory of holding her mother's hand at a bus stop during the rain. The chorus was unfinished. The bridge was blank. Daniel walked to the piano. Let's start with the melody. Sing the first line. Alina stood, wiping her cheeks. She inhaled. And she sang. The words were soft, trembling. But as the melody grew, Daniel added soft piano chords beneath her voice. It felt like her mother had stepped into the room. Not with a physical presence. But with something deeper. Something that wrapped around her heart gently. After the verse, she froze. The emptiness of the unfinished chorus stared at her. I can't, she whispered. Daniel shook his head. You can. And you will. Alina closed her eyes, and words came. Not planned. Not written. Not rehearsed. Just came. She sang about letting go without saying goodbye. About a voice that went quiet. About guilt that lived in her throat. About a promise she had broken. And was finally ready to keep. The chorus bloomed like something alive. Daniel looked at her with awe. When she finished, the room was silent. Alina, he breathed, that's your mother's voice inside you. Not the painful cry of grief. But the soft cry of release. For the next hour, they finished the bridge. Then the last verse. Then the final chorus. When she sang the completed song from beginning to end, Daniel stood up from the piano, eyes red, face soft, deeply moved. You're performing this for the next round, he said firmly. Alina panicked. No, I can't, this is too personal. Exactly, he said softly. And that's why it will heal people. She hesitated. Her mother didn't want her to hide. Her mother wanted her to sing. She nodded. The studio was packed. The judges prepared themselves. The audience quieted. Alina stepped onto the stage with a calm she didn't recognize. The lights rose gently. Not harsh. Not overwhelming. Just warm. She held the microphone with steady hands. This song, she said softly, is for the person who taught me how to sing, and the person who taught me how to be brave. The room held its breath. She began. The melody was haunting. The lyrics were raw. Her voice was stronger, steadier, richer than the first audition. When she reached the chorus, the one she had written from her heart, Coach Raina covered her mouth again, tears streaming. Coach Daniel cried openly, not even trying to hide it. The audience cried too, not dramatically, but quietly, intimately, because they felt her, every word, every wound, every healing moment. When she reached the bridge, her voice soared. Not broken, not fragile, not scared. This time, I finished the song, Mom. The crowd stood. A full standing ovation. People sobbed. People held each other. People whispered prayers and blessings. All 4 judges walked to the stage. Raina hugged her tightly. Daniel placed her hand over his heart. You didn't just sing, he whispered. You honored a soul. Alina looked upward again, tears falling but her smile blooming. Her mother was with her. Her voice was finally whole. And the music would never leave her again.